Welcome back. Congress is back in session this week, and you can bet, like high schoolers whispering in the hallway, there's going to be a lot of chatter about the president's future this week. His shaky debate performance first raised those red flags, and his primetime interview didn't seem to radically change the narrative. So some calls, however quiet or loud, continue for President Biden to step aside. But he says that's not happening.
Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race.
You've heard that. But if it wasn't a Biden-Trump rematch, who would take the president's place at the top of the ticket? Well, we asked local Democratic analyst Abu Amara.
If it is not Biden, who could it be?
If it's not the president, I think the most obvious and practical alternative would be the Vice President Kamala Harris. We only have 4.5 months left until the general election. Whoever's the nominee has to have hundreds of millions of dollars in the war chest. Because of that money only being able to go to Kamala Harris, she's probably the person who's most in the position to take over in case Joe Biden weren't the nominee.
So it all comes down to money?
Politics is often about money and votes, and those are the two things that drive a campaign. And because she has access to the money and because people have actually voted for her as Vice President of the United States, that's the currency that campaigns drive on.
And I spoke with a few political insiders on the Democratic side of things, including Abu, who you just heard from. Talked to a few more off camera, but they point out that the vice president pulls in some core constituencies. She's, of course, a black woman. Some say that she could turn out black voters in key states. She also represents, though, a generational shift, Abu Amara says, because she's just younger than the president and former president. But if that happened and Kamala Harris was at the top of the ticket, who would be her VP? One local insider even threw out Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota, saying he could turn out voters in the Rust Belt, for instance. That's something she would need. So lots of ideas swirling around. The other issues at stake, aside from money, time. Abu points out that there could be ballot access issues if the Democratic Party changes their nominee too late. Essentially, they may miss deadlines to get their new presidential candidate on the ballot in some states. Either way, it is a big week or two for Democrats. And with all the chatter, we wanted you to know what could realistically happen here if the president were to step aside.